today I'm going to be teaching you how to make infused honey. And this can be a really fun way to use some of your forageable wild edibles or garden edibles in a kind of unique way. You're not just eating them raw. I put honey in tea. This is a great way to flavor your black tea, especially as we get into the colder months. My husband loves peanut butter, honey, banana sandwiches. And depending on what flavors you are infusing into your honey, you can mix and match to your heart's desire. And it's a great way to get wild edibles into your diet. So I'm going to be using my lavender here. How you're going to want to make this is on a 1-to-2 ratio. So for every 1 part of dried plant matter, I'm going to want 2 parts of the honey. I have this pint ball jar, and I am going to be using my lavender, putting it into my ball jar. When you make infused honey, you want to avoid any extra liquid being added. Make sure that whatever you're putting in your infusion is dried. You can do this in a variety of ways. If you don't have a lot of time, this process takes a little bit of time. You can always do the oven method of putting it on very, very low heat, about 100 to 150 degrees, and then baking your plant matter. And that'll suck out the moisture. I have already some dried lavender that I will be using for this. Any extra moisture in your honey can lead to mold growth, which that's not what we're looking for. That's not what we want. So I'm going to put my dried lavender into my jar. And now I'm going to take my wildflower honey and add it to my lavender. This is pretty thick honey. And over time, you may notice that it becomes runnier and runnier. This is not a bad thing. In fact, it will help for the straining part. Because keep in mind, we got to get all this plant stuff out of the honey. You'll want to make sure that those big air bubbles get popped. Extra air can lead to fermentation. So we don't want those air bubbles. You can pop them with a stick. Chopsticks are really good for this, or a fork. Then you're going to put a lid on and turn it all around. You want to make sure that all of your herbs are covered by this honey. Now that we've added sticky stuff, it takes a while for the herbs to fall. There we go. We want everything to be covered. Once everything is covered, I am going to set this aside for a couple days, turning it every day to make sure all the herbs are covered. And I'm going to taste it every day too to make sure that it gets to the flavor peak that I want. If needed, I can add more honey too. Various plants have health benefits. For example, goldenrod can act as an antihistamine and help reduce the symptoms of fall allergies. Lavender is a very calming agent, and this can be great in a tea right before bed. It will help you sleep better. Mints can act as antimicrobials and as stomach nausea relievers, things like that. So mix and match, have fun, and now we'll leave this to sit in a place by itself. And every day, I'm going to flip it to the other side. I'm going to let it sit for about 5 days. That's typically a minimum, depending on the aromaticness of the plant. But things like goldenrod or behind me is bee balm. Bee balm's not as aromatic, but still great. I probably would let that sit for a week or longer. I am ready to get these lavender bits out of my honey and into a jar free of lavender bits, just the infused stuff. What I'm going to do is heat this very gently in the microwave. I'm going to take the metal top off. If you would prefer, you can also double boil it with the top then kept on if you don't want to microwave it. All right, if you're unsure, you can check it with a spoon. You want it to just drizzle off your spoon really quickly. I am now going to strain it. All you want to do is just pour your honey right over top of your new jar to get all of the plant bits out. Then, after straining, all you'll be left with is the honey. You can use this honey for all sorts of drinks, desserts. You can use it to top cheese, pears, all sorts of wonderful things based on the flavors of the herbs or the plants that you put inside. Enjoy!